2 times.
I
You got
know.
homework
Love
done
it.
yesterday. Good job.
Thank you. Love it. Love it.
I'm just waiting for our little guest of honor coming in here in a minute. So yeah. Um,
So good.
you have a great expert panel today, so I'm really excited for this one for us. Um, but yes, how did you feel after yesterday?
Really good. Thank
Good,
you.
good, good.
Good. Good. Good. How about you?
Same. Yeah. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I got to talk to Kimber.
I had a good reset. Thank you. That was good.
I know we both needed one. I was like, we
We
need a
did.
reset.
We really
But
did.
yeah,
All of us need
really
those
cool.
moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nope, absolutely. Let's see here. So as I'm waiting for our guest to be here today, where is she? Yeah. Tell me one thing, tell me something good about the day. Something
You know what?
a win for today.
I just listened to the one that you did on, I don't know how, but somehow it popped up on my phone. Like, listen to this with Jackie. Is it Owen? It's like she
Oh
did it.
yeah.
She did a thing on June 30th that I missed because we were traveling. It was so good. Five successes of your business. I love that.
Oh, it's a really good one.
Yeah, that was a
Yes.
really good one. Really was. Yeah, that's a huge. Yeah, that was good.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think dude, I just love our guest experts, and it's just that's one of the other things I was actually thinking as you see what we're doing with the guest experts, Kimberly,
Hmm.
that be kind of like what you do, right? You got
Hmm.
a guest expert on, like even talk to Bo. Be like, Bo, can you do me a solid? Give me a 20-minute little guest
Oh,
expert from
he would love it. I
he
will.
he would love it. He would
Okay.
absolutely.
I take the challenge. I will do that.
Oh, I love it. Are you gonna be at Hicks this year?
Oh no, I don't think so. We came last year because we were doing a walk along with him, like a follow along. Yeah. Is it in November still?
October this year.
Oh, okay. You're going to be there?
Yep. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good. What is the date?
The date
T-
is October 8th through the 12th, I believe. I just got the invite.
Is Jen still doing it?
Yep. Jen and
Good,
Jeremy. Hmm.
good,
Yep, yep.
good, good.
Yeah. Jen and
There's so
Jeremy.
much going on in October, I feel like.
Yeah, there's a lot in that time. Oh, there we go. There she is. Yeah, there's a lot going on at that time.
There it is. We
Hello.
have a women's retreat that weekend.
So good.
Mhm.
Oh, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. So, I wanted to introduce our expert panel for the day, and then, really cool. So, just to kind of give you a little flow, Ruhini, what we do in our group. Sometimes we have people float in a little bit later. A lot of times people kind of watch the replays. We have a lot of people that are working during the day with a lot of entrepreneurs, so they do some of their calls. However, people, I would say that a lot of our people are really good at watching replays. I'm actually shocked. So one thing that we're excited to have you on here to do that. And then to kind of kick it off, this is Kimber A who's in here with us, and then I have a few other people that are popping in. I'm gonna bring them in as well.
Hi,
Um,
Kimber.
but
Hello.
I
Love your
haven't had a
glasses.
chance to
Oh, thank you.
to hi, totally. Ruhini, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, and it's Ruheene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ruheen,
Yeah.
thank you for that. But yeah, Ruheen, I just wanted to take a quick second and intro you for our amazing audience here. And then the cool thing about our expert panels is a lot of times at the end of that, we have time for questions, but we'll leave this to you. And what we can do, this is the three best kept secrets in building thought leadership. And so what we wanted to go with you guys, why we wanted to bring you on is because we love that what you've been doing. You like to reverse engineer the frameworks that you've learned in the world's biggest brands and turn them into thought leadership frameworks that you use to build your own brand, which is amazing because all of the people that are here in our group, many of us are podcasters. Kimberly has her new podcast. We do a ton, and we have about 350 podcasts that we've produced, and so our whole audience will be watching these as well, and we'll be not submitting, but redistributing this conversation. So thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna let you take it away from here. And if you have, since we have like, it looks like we have like 4 or 5 more people that are just popping in. I'm just waiting for them to come in here, but I'll let you get rolling just to honor our time. And then if you want, you can just take over, or we can leave the mics open for you, whatever works best for you. I'll let you rock it.
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking around because I have a lot of different screens and I'm trying to make sure that I have all the right things on the right screen. But thank you for the introduction, and I'm really happy to be here. And since this is going to be recorded, and it sounds like a lot of your viewers are going to be watching this back from the recording, hopefully you can pass on any questions. I feel like sessions like this, you get the most out of them when you're in the room and you can ask questions and you can have a conversation. But for anyone watching this back, there are always questions, so there probably will be questions as well, and I'm more than happy to um, respond to them as and when I get them. And Sammy, hopefully you can pass on any questions or feedback or comments or any of it that we get as well.
Absolutely. And I'll as people pop in, I'll just let you stay in flow, and I'll just keep dropping any of the questions if you see any of those drop in there. I'll help field those for you.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll just have it open. I'm gonna try and open it up on my side as well, just so I have it. Okay. Yeah, I have it off on this screen here. All right. Well, um, yeah, and if you have any questions, Kimber, as we go along, love to hear them. Put them in the chat. We can do some Q&A maybe at the end of this, Sammy, right? Does that sound like a
Yep,
plan?
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. All right, well, let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see, where am I? Let me know if you see my screen. You guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, let me just move some things around here because I love that I always have everything arranged perfectly, and then I share my screen and then Zoom decides to just ruin it. And so,
I love that when it moves the audience and then your screen goes to here, and I'm like,
right?
oh
I
my
just had
God.
everything set up and I realized that I wasn't screen sharing it, and I was like, oh no, we have to do this all over again.
Mine used
All
to do
right.
that. It would actually shrink my audience in my teleprompter so that people were like the size of my thumbnail.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this isn't good.
Yeah.
This isn't what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. It's like I can see you, but I can't see you. Anyway, all right, let's talk about the three best kept secrets to building thought leadership. So, first things first, let me just talk about why I know this or how I know this. And how I discovered these three secrets for myself. So a little background about me. My career has been kind of all over the place. So I have a bachelor's degree in architecture, which is where kind of the design and user flow and user experience part of my career really started. But then from there, I realized that I didn't really want to do architecture. I decided that I enjoyed designing spaces and human experiences, but I didn't enjoy being on site. Dealing with the dust and the dirt and contractors was not my thing. And so I moved on to the film world. So I did a master's degree in visual effects and animation, started working with a small studio in San Francisco. This small studio we were very small. When I joined them, I was the seventh employee, I think, and then they grew a few times over while I was there. But they used to work with some really much larger brands and companies. So they used to work with Marvel and Industrial Light and Magic. And so we used to get a lot of the big projects from them. And we used to fulfill like smaller pieces of the post-production work and the visual effects work. And so
No big deal. Marvel and all those.
yeah. And so yeah, got to work on Iron Man 2, The Avengers, Captain America, and then some non-Marvel things too, like Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, and a few others. So anyway, so got to do that for 8 years of my life. And in between those film projects, I was fortunate enough to have found another small studio in San Francisco that used to do launch campaigns, marketing campaigns, launch campaigns for, again, some really big brands like Apple, Amazon, Motorola, Radio Shack, back when Radio Shack was around. And so that was kind of where I learned the bulk of this. Between my filmmaking, post-production work, where I learned a lot about user experiences and storytelling, and then also seeing how some of these big tech giants would launch their products, what made one successful versus a different one not successful, what was the positioning strategy they used, how did they link things back to their brand or not, and how did that impact the success of their launches. Now, years later, when I got out of all of this and I started doing my own thing, I had a few different startup and entrepreneurial projects before I really had my first official startup, which was a software company in when did we launch it? 2022. And when we did that, I realized that even though we had built a software that actually took a lot of the frameworks I had learned from working with Apple and Amazon, and built it into this brand marketing and product marketing software. First of its kind, didn't exist on the market. It was the first app also to not have any prompting required when AI was still new and all the apps that were coming on the market were all prompt based. So it was really one of its kind. It was built to solve a very real problem for business owners and entrepreneurs. But I found that a lot of times when I got on calls with people, I had to keep explaining who I was, the entire background that I just shared with you, how I know what I know, why this product is like nothing else of its kind. And just to make the sale, I priced it at $25 a month. This was a $25 a month software when we launched it in 2022. It is now $4.99 a month. And
Wow.
that is the power of thought leadership. That is the power of building a personal brand where most times when you get on a call, people already know who you are. They've already decided that they want to work with you. And so the call isn't about objection handling anymore. It's not about trying to prove yourself or prove your offer. It's about building the relationship with whoever's on the other side. They already know you. They already feel like they know you. They've already built a relationship with you. Now you get to learn about them and tell them where to get started so that they can start working with you in a way that is going to get them results. It's a win-win for both sides. And that's the magic of thought leadership. And so when I was doing this between 2022 and last year, which is when I really started getting on stages and podcast interviews and getting myself out there was a lot that I learned to do. And these were, I listened to a lot of the guru expert advice on the internet, and I tried all of them and none of them worked. And so that's how these three secrets came to be. It's just how I, through trial and error, found the ways that worked and the ones that don't work. And I will say that most of the advice online is stuff that doesn't work. It's from influencers and people who just happen to do something at the right time when something was new and it took off for them. But that is definitely not how it works anymore. And so that's where these three secrets that I'm about to share with you, if you are trying to establish yourself as a personal brand, have better quality sales conversations, close more deals, find and attract the right kind of audience to your world, all on autopilot, and have your personal brand do that for you instead of constantly struggling with finding leads and closing them and making a sale and trying to price adjust, right? So is that exciting for those of you that are in the room with me? I'm gonna make sure that I still have my chat open here, but let me
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Sammy.
Oh yeah, we've got a bunch of yeses. Ali says yes. Doris, welcome to the party. Yeah, a lot of people. This is right in our alley. Super,
Awesome.
super, super stoked. Yeah, keep rocking it.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So, all right, let's get into it. So these are the three secrets, and I'm just starting with what they are, and then we're going to dive into each of them. And if you've heard this advice, if you've ever wondered, how do I get myself out there? How do I get more people to know who I am, what I do, the unique, angle or perspective or framework or product or service that I offer that nobody else offers? How do I get more people to know about me? You'll find that a lot of the mainstream advice is start posting more content. right? Anyone not heard this? Anyone not been told to post more and be more consistent online? Well, consistency is part of it, but we're going to talk about when we get to that step 3, we're going to talk about what consistency means. And it isn't what people think it means. It isn't posting more. It isn't being consistent with how many times a day or a week you post. It has nothing to do with that. So we'll get to that when we get to the content piece. But the bigger problem here is that when that is the only advice that is available, you're basically skipping 2 very critical pieces. And this is why it's a secret, because no one's talking about it. This is why when you skip to content without first understanding your story, not just your story the way you want to tell it, but the way your story is going to land and resonate with the audience you're looking to attract, right? What is that story? How do you want to tell that story in a way that's going to resonate with them, in a way that's going to keep you top of mind, right? How do you tell that story that proves to someone listening to that story for the very first time that you are the expert in your field, regardless of how many years of experience you have? I know in like olden times when these channels weren't available to us, we would compare ourselves with somebody else based on number of years of experience. Oh, if somebody has 30 years of experience doing something and I've just been in this industry for 2 years or 3 years, I can't possibly know as much of them, right? Imposter syndrome creeps in, all those fun things happen. But really, it has nothing to do with the number of years anymore because things are changing so fast. And so being new to an industry says absolutely nothing about the level of expertise you have in that industry. And it is all about how you convey your message. If you know what is unique about the way you approach the industry and the problems that are in that industry, and you can put them into words and also talk about your why, like why do you know what you know and why is it important for everyone listening to your story right now? That's where the gold is, right? And even when you hire PR agencies, there are some PR agencies that are really good and that start with this step. A lot of them still will just send you a form. A form cannot possibly capture your unique value in a way that someone who is trained to ask the right questions and elicit the right information from you is going to be able to get from you. So if you ever hire an agency and their only onboarding process is asking you to fill out a form, run. Honestly, I've been through enough of those agencies where I've gotten 0 results, spent thousands of dollars, and realized this wasn't going to work. And that's also how I realized the missing piece was my story. So that's going to be step 1, is really understanding what your story is, what stories to tell, what stories not to tell, and how do you find those stories to begin with. Okay. Step 2 is going to be finding the right channels for you to amplify your message and your story on. What channels are a good fit for your expertise and your story, and how can you find them and reach out to them and start getting featured on those channels? Okay, that's the part that an agency will come in. They'll skip your story and they'll go straight to the channels. They'll have you fill out a form and start looking for channels, which is great because most of us DIYers, the people, those of us trying to just learn how to do it ourselves without an agency, are skipping the channels part as well. So the thing you get with an agency is that they will go into channels and content, but the story work is still critical for anything else to work here. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So let's talk about your story here, right? Because again, without that, everything else falls apart. Everything else is pretty much useless. And so finding your story, telling your story is at the core of how everything else works. And this is something that I'm going to be repeating a few times today. So bear with me and you'll see why. Okay, so how do you find the right stories to tell? Now, I have a 3-step framework and we usually do a whole 90-minute training on this. So I'm not going to go over this in depth or in too much detail, but just to get you started on thinking about what that story or set of stories could be, I want you to think about the intersection of these 3 things. You want to think about what are you uniquely good at? Again, don't worry about number of years of experience. Just think about what is it that you are uniquely good at doing. Now, keep in mind, there are times when I have people come to our workshops where we workshop this together, and they actually find that it has nothing to do with what they're currently doing. Okay, and that can happen. So usually you'll have not just one thing that you're uniquely good at, you'll have a list of things, and that's exactly how it should be. So regardless of whether that's one thing or a list of 10 things, just make a list of what are you uniquely good at. Okay. Then you want to find out, this is where the research comes in. This is the scary part, that when I talk about research, people are like, oh my God, I don't know how to do research. Where do I research? That sounds boring. This is also something that larger brands do. research is at the core of every single marketing and branding decision that they make. So this is one of those things where there are now tools that can do it for us. Side note, ChatGPT is not one of those tools, because whenever I tell people there are tools, they go straight to ChatGPT and ask questions. And most of the time, ChatGPT will hallucinate its answers to you. So that's not a good way to do it, but we'll talk about what is a good way. But if you go to Google Trends or Answer the Public, or there's different websites out there, honestly, even if you go to Google search and just type in the first few letters of whatever it is that you do, you'll see it tries to fill in your search term. And that's a really quick way of knowing what your audience is searching for, because it shows you what the top searched items are. It won't give it to you in a database way. Like Google Trends will tell you like how, what the volume of searches are for a specific term, and how, that trend has changed over the past few years, where it's going next. But it's a really quick and easy way to quickly find out what it is that your audience is searching for. So again, multiple ways to do it. We're going to look at something at the end too. If you are leaning into AI, that's all that we do, is how to use AI to leverage it, not just for content writing, which is where people go, but also doing all of this research and helping us make the best decisions. Okay, so you want to, it does say ChatGPT on this slide, but just bear with me, there are better tools. So you want to know, what is your audience searching for? And how does that connect with the list of things that you are uniquely good at? What you're trying to find here is, how can you answer some of the search terms that your audience is asking for in a way that nobody else is asking? So a quick example, when I got started, when my first product was all about product marketing, how do you validate your offers? How do you build a business brand? How do you align your offers with your brand? Also validate them with actual customer avatars, and also kind of look at it from a VC investor perspective. Like, what could you be missing in your offer, so that even when you first launch it, you're not just launching it blind. You're not just spraying and praying, right? So that's what that first tool still does. It's still around. It's called Hey Levi. So that is what that tool does. Now, when I built it, the reason I even built it in the first place, by the way, was because I saw, any of you familiar with High Level, by the way? Okay, Sammy, you are.
Yep.
So High Level they've been around since 2019. I've been a big part of that world. But High Level is an agency platform where you can white label their marketing CRM and sell it as your own. So just add it onto your services and you can become a software agency, is what they promise. There's a lot of different layers to that and pros and cons, and it's not as easy as they make it sound, but that's the premise of what High Level does. So in the early days in 2020 and 2021, we saw a lot of people coming into the High Level world excited about the idea of becoming their own software company. That excitement is still around today, but now it's all about vibe coding, which is a whole other conversation. But everyone wants to become a software company. And so this was the first time that somebody had promised them that without having to hire a dev team or know much about software, that they could turn their offers into a SaaS offer, into a software as a service offer, right? So what ended up happening with that is that there were so many people in the high level world who were suddenly becoming software companies, but that knew nothing about selling software. And having worked with Amazon and Apple and Motorola and all of these people on their tech launches, one thing that I knew was that you have to understand product positioning, you have to understand market and buyer psychology and market sentiment, and something called voice of customer, which is what is your customer saying, in order to understand how to position your product and bring it to market. And this was my experience. I knew I had lived this in a way that nobody in that world really knew the way I knew it, right? And so it became less of, there were all these gurus talking about how to build a big SaaS and how to be successful with high level. But even though I was still relatively new to the high level world, I knew something that nobody else did. I saw a lot of people asking questions like, what do you do when you get on a sales call? And Sammy, you've probably seen these conversations too, if you've been in the high level world long enough. There were so many conversations around, what do you do when you get on a sales call and the person that you're with is like, oh yeah, I know what this is. I know this is high level and I can get this for cheaper somewhere else, because everyone was putting their own price tag on it. And that was a classic positioning problem, right? So this is what I made a list of what I was uniquely good at. One of them is positioning and messaging. Another one was branding. And so from that list, I could see the questions that my audience was searching for and how I could answer them in a way that nobody else had the expertise to do, right? And then once you have that short list of what are you uniquely good at, and what can you use from that list to answer questions that your audience is asking for right now, then you want to think about what do you have case studies for, and some sort of social proof, right? Do you have client wins? Do you have a win of your own? I just told you I started with my story. I started this whole thing with my story. And that is my social proof. I can show you all the clients we've helped as well. But I always love starting with my own story because it shows you why this is so important to me right now. Okay. And so when you are building your personal brand, you want to make sure you spend the most amount of time on this. This is what, if you get this right, everything else falls into place. And if you look at anybody that you're following, any influencers, any big personal brands that you might be following online, if you go back to where they started, you'll find that they all started with a story, and they all had a story that answered a question that their audience was looking for when they started telling that story. And they had social proof to go with it, either their own story or somebody else's story. So this is, in a nutshell, the entire thing, the entire way you find the right stories to tell. And we have different ways to, again, get your story, and I'll kind of tell you more about that at the end. All right. Once you have your story nailed, now you want to think about the channels where you can amplify this story. What are the different platforms like podcasts, events, stages, and publications that are looking for your expertise? They want to find experts like you so that they can feature you on their platform in front of their audiences, right? So this is how you build an audience quickly. Even if you're starting from scratch, as long as you have your story and your messaging clear, it is actually, that's when AI can really start to come in and help you, right? Find these different opportunities, find the right fit for you, but only if you've done the work of knowing what your story is, explaining it correctly. Again, ChatGPT will try and fill out the blanks for you. I've seen a lot of people try and use ChatGPT to find that story, and then they sound like everyone else when they talk about what they do. So you want to be very careful with that. Do that groundwork yourself. Okay. Then you find all these podcasts, events, and publications. We use research agents. You can also just go into iTunes, do a keyword search, find the podcast, find the contact information, and reach out to them that way. Obviously, that's more time consuming, and I'll show you exactly how we do it with deep research agents. But this is where AI can really come and help us save time instead of just writing generic copy for us. Okay. Same thing with events. Research agents can find out what events are coming up in your industry, what topics they're covering, how do they relate to your expertise, what are some topics and keynotes that you could present. Our agents even build out the entire keynote slide deck for us. Full transparency. I woke up this morning, didn't realize I had this presentation today, and realized I have this on my calendar, and so I just created this using that. So I created a whole I created a whole slide deck with one of my keynotes that are already saved in my account with my agents, and then created this. Okay. And then you also find third-party publications and publishers and editors that are looking for topics that you can write about. Okay. This is different from journalists, which is more traditional mainstream PR, because journalists are looking to cover stories. I'm talking about publications that are looking for guest article writers, so that your writing can be published in those publications. Okay. All right. So the common thread between all of these three different things is the quality of your research. Okay. It is not the volume, it is the quality of your research. If I go back one, just think about it. If you just spray and pray with podcasts, events, stages, publications, and especially if you haven't done the work of finding out what your story and your actual messaging is, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get blacklisted, right? You're going to hurt your personal brand before you've even built it. So again, really important to do that step one, and then really have that feed the quality of your research, and then very thoughtfully reach out to these people. Okay. Instead of just posting everywhere and hoping something lands and pitching everyone and hoping something sticks and hoping you get a response, you want to be very, very careful with who you reach out to with your message, with your very clear story, and why you think their audience needs to hear that story. Okay. All right, I was just taking a quick look at the chat to see if there are any questions. There aren't any, so I'm going to keep going. All right.
Yeah.
So
One thing that's so great too, just Ruheene, I love that you are really hard, like zoned in. Like one of the biggest takeaways for us is we really focus so deeply on their story because there's only one of you, and there's only that's like the key differentiator between you and the billions of people on the planet, and people just skip over that part, right? So thank you so much. Like, that's such a good takeaway for us to really know, and that's why we all have our podcast, right? This is to tell our unique story.
Exactly. And thank you for actually saying that, because that brings me to one more thing that I'm going to share with you really quick. When I first started out, I kept comparing myself to people, other people in my industry that were talking about these things that I knew that they were the information and the advice they were giving were not going to solve the problem of positioning your products and actually knowing how to understand the market and how you're positioning it, your offers within that market. But they all had these amazing stories. They would get up on stage, they would share their stories of homelessness and all of these heartbreaking stories, right? Not to detract from those stories are powerful, and so many people have been through that. I'm going to be super transparent when I say I've been very lucky. I haven't gone through that kind of, I've been through my own heartache. I lost my mom. I've been through a lot of things, but it was nothing compared to the stories that these people were sharing on stage. And I kept feeling like I didn't have a story, right? I was like, I don't have a story that's going to make people cry. No one's going to care about my story. What, you guys heard my story. Do I have different stories? Yes. But when I look at my 3-step story framework about which stories I need to be sharing based on how I can help people, those aren't the right stories. Me sharing what I went through when I lost my mom to cancer and saw her take her last breath isn't going to do anything for you, right? I might get some sympathy, but that's not the story that's going to help you in some way. And so my thought leadership story has nothing to do with heartache. It has, I mean, a lot to do with business heartache, because again, I had to sell something at $25 a month and keep begging people to try it out at that price point. And now it sells itself for $4.99. I don't get on sales calls anymore because people know, they hear about it in the high level world. It's a third party high level app. People get on the website and they just buy it at $4.99, right? So that is the power of knowing the stories to tell and establishing yourself as a thought leader in a specific industry like I have in the high level world. So remember how we were talking about the whole myth about consistency in your content and how that works and doesn't work? How many of you, put a one in the chat for me, how many of you have heard the advice that in order to build a personal brand and to get people to know who you are and build that know, like, and trust factor, how many of you have heard the advice that you simply need to post more and post more consistently? Put a one in the chat and put a 0 if you've never heard that before. And I'm going to ask about the rock that, that you've been living under, because I feel like that is such a saturated piece of advice out there.
We used to say that all the time too. I was like, you just got to post more. And then as I was watching, and I can't wait to see, obviously you're the expert on this, why that doesn't work. Especially in the age of AI. I'm so excited that we have you on, because the posting more is a bunch of hooey hooey till you do it right.
Yeah, because most of us don't have the time to, even if AI is writing our posts for us, most of us don't have the time to actually go through those posts, make sure that they're being intentional. When people tell us to just post more, I see people going to ChatGPT or having, built these really fancy custom GPTs that they're so proud of. Oh my God, my custom GPT knows exactly how to write like me, and my brand voice. And then you put it out there and then you see that there's no engagement, and there's a reason for that. Because as much as it knows your brand voice and it can get closer to it, it is still posting the same thing that it's posting for everyone else doing the exact same thing, right? And so your content starts to sound like everyone else. If you don't know what is the unique angle that you bring to the table, if you don't know what your audience is searching for, if you're just spraying and praying, it's going to please the algorithm. Yes, you can monetize Facebook, right? But again, is your goal to please the algorithm and monetize Facebook, or is your goal to start attracting the right kind of audience to your business? And those are two very different things. So when we talk about consistency in our world, and when we have a platform obviously that does all of this for us, but when we teach our users to leverage the platform in the right way, we always tell them about consistency. The magic of consistency is in the quality of what you're posting. How do you know that you're posting good quality stuff? Again, if it's, your story and your message and you're clear on that, the unique value that you bring to the table, and you're using that unique value and that unique expertise to answer actual real questions that your audience is asking for right now, which you can only do through research. If you ask ChatGPT, what is my audience asking for right now? It's going to make up stuff, guaranteed. It's going to give you broken links. It's going to hallucinate a bunch of stuff. Like it's just the joy of it, right? So really knowing what your audience is asking for, what are their actual search terms or exact search terms, and then creating content At that point, volume doesn't matter, right? At that point, you are creating enough content that is being served to your ideal audience because of the words that you're using, the content in your content is attracting the right kind of people. And those people are now starting to consistently see. They're not tracking whether you're posting once a day or twice a day. They're saying every time a post from you pops up on their feed, how valuable is it to them? And the more you show them valuable content, the more top of mind you will be for them. Does that make sense? The difference in what consistency means and which one matters and which one doesn't really matter?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right? Doris says zero more about consistency and quality on LinkedIn versus more Instagram. Yes, post all the time. Yeah, and it's true because people who are building their content on LinkedIn are doing it strategically, right? They're doing it to build a personal brand. A lot of people on Instagram and Facebook are doing it, and TikTok are just doing it in order to get the views. You know, how many people have you, I started posting 5 times a day, 10 times a day, and my views went up by this much. Like I couldn't care less what views you're getting if those views aren't turning into buyers. If those eyeballs aren't turning into buyers, I don't know why you're excited about it. Right? So that is across. So LinkedIn, absolutely, but then also for Instagram, also for Facebook, wherever your target audience is, unless you're just posting pictures of your kids and that's all you care about, right? If you're posting in terms of attracting more people to your offers, building that credibility, building a personal brand, establishing yourself as a thought leader, you want to be intentional about posting content that is answering specific questions that you know your audience is searching for, right? That also tells the algorithm, because all of these algorithms, remember that Instagram is a search engine, right? Most of these social media platforms are search engines. And so when you start answering questions and posting content that is answering the questions that the algorithms can see are being asked, they're going to serve your content more, right? Versus I'm just posting 10 times a day to tell the algorithm that I'm active on their platform. Okay, so now that I've told you the 3 steps and the 3 secrets that I see most people skipping, content is also one of those 3 secrets because of the consistency part and the way I see people approaching it versus doing step 1 and step 2 first and having that feed into the right kind of consistency in your content. But when I tell people about this, the first thing I hear is usually, well, how do I do this at scale? I don't have the time, right? I don't have the time to sit and think about my story, and then maybe I can sit down and do this as a one-time thing, but then I don't have the time to keep looking at what my audience is searching for. Like it's easier for me to just ask ChatGPT to do it, right? And so this is where people get the idea, they start doing it, they get overwhelmed, they get burnt out, and then they go back into just spraying and praying. So what we usually talk about, and this is the way we train agencies to provide media services and branding services to their clients, is by thinking of it like a system, right? Just like with anything, if you want to get results out of something and you want them to work together and in tandem and you want them to keep growing and compounding, you want to turn it into a system. And so the system that we have built is called the Visibility Flywheel. And that simply means that you start, research is at the core of everything, right? Once you have your story and you have your research and you have where the 2 things connect, now you can find podcasts that are looking to cover your story, publications, events, and event hosts, all of those different things. When you do that on an ongoing basis, right, you find a list of who those people are that are looking for your expertise. You understand how to pitch those podcast hosts, publication editors, and event hosts, how to apply for speaking opportunities, how to present yourself as a speaker, even if you're starting from ground zero, right? Regardless of whether you have years of experience or not, it's how you position yourself with this story, with this message that you want to get out in front of their audience. When you learn how to do that and you pitch to them and you know the follow-up cadence and how to actually get responses from them, and then you take that, you get featured, and it looks like it's cut off at the end there, but it just says feature and amplify. Actually, no, feature and content is what it says, because amplify is the next step. So feature and content, right? So when you know who these hosts are, what they're looking for, how to pitch them, how to follow up with them, how to build a relationship with them, what your audience is searching for, how can you create content that answers those search terms, and then you start to post that kind of content and start to build relationship with all of these different platform hosts. You get featured, you use that to amplify your message, and it continues on in a flywheel. Okay. So that's what you can do with research agents. Now, I want to be mindful of time as well. This is where I'm happy to show you the system that we've built There's never just one way to get to anything. There are people I know who are building these things on and building their own agents to build this visibility system. There's definitely ways to build your own research agents, but with that also comes a lot of time, a learning curve, and also making sure that you're keeping your research agents secure and preventing them from just going off the grid. We had somebody who tried to build their own agents, and then they woke up overnight to a $6,000 bill. It was great. So when you're building your own agents, you just want to make sure that you have the time to allot to manage those agents as well. Most of the people that we work with don't have that kind of time, right? Which is why they're looking for, how do I use AI to make my life easier and not harder? Like, I don't want to have to build a bunch of agents only to now have to monitor them and make sure they're not going off the rails and they're not saying weird things or, racking up a huge bill for me overnight. And so that's when you want to be part of a system that is already built for you, that is already being monitored, and you just get to plug in your story, and it does the rest of the research and the pitching and the following up and the content and everything for you. So, Sammy, I want to know from you. Actually, let me see if there are any questions. Kimber, guess I missed the question here. The research is done through what platform? Yeah. So you can do research. Let me actually get out of presentation mode here. Oh, hold on. Now you see a bunch of stuff on my screen. Give me 1 second. Let me just share the right screen here. And I'll show you how we do it, Kimber. But again, there are different tools that can do it. And I'm going to tell you about the different tools that do it. And then I'm going to show you the way we do it. Is that okay, Sammy? Are we good on time? And can I?
Perfect. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Give me a second here. I have the ongoing problem of too many tabs on my screen at any given time. I try.
Okay. None of us are guilty of that. We're good.
Right? And it's always the best when you're looking for that one tab and you find that that's the only tab that you don't actually have open. So good.
I think it gets worse when a few different agents at one time. You're like, maybe I can run these 5 guys at one time. This sounds good. And then all of a sudden, nothing works.
Exactly. So this is our platform. So this is what we do. Our entire world revolves around creating these agents for people and helping them get on podcasts, get on stages, clarify their message, always build that message as they evolve that message, because your message is never static, your story is never static. And so how do you build that? How do you evolve that? How do you use AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you and let you come with your authentic stories and lived experiences where that's required, instead of AI trying to fill those gaps in for you and then having you sound like everybody else. So the flywheel system that I showed you, this is what this is. And the way this works is, and this is our system called BrandPod. The way this works is everything starts with your brand coach. So think of this as having a conversation with ChatGPT, but instead of ChatGPT that doesn't know the right questions to ask you, you can ask, by the way, have you guys ever tried this? Like asking AI to ask you questions? Like just ask me questions whenever you need to, right? And I see a lot of people are relying very heavily on that. And it works to a certain extent. It does ask some really good questions, but keep in mind that this is generative AI. Meaning when you use something like ChatGPT or Claude and say, just ask me all the questions you need, what it's doing is it's looking at its best guess. What have other people typically asked? And then it's asking you those questions. It doesn't mean that it's trained on those things. It doesn't mean that it knows the right questions to ask in order to elicit those right stories and the message that is going to help position you as a thought leader. So this is Brand Coach, which is a chat interface, and it's designed to do all of those things just like a human would. And this is just the coach version of me, because I used to do this on one-on-one calls, and then it wasn't scalable anymore. And so we built a whole system that does a lot of this automatically. So if people have like 3-hour conversations with Brand Coach, it's really, really deep. Okay. I've had people come and tell me that it's been cathartic. They did it overnight. They had a good cry because they didn't realize all the expertise that they actually had. So many of us are just holding back because of imposter syndrome. And so it works with all of those different layers to help you uncover your thought leadership story. Once you have that, you can send it to your agents. And the agents is what we are looking at here. These are all separate agents. They're all autonomous agents that work on their own and let you know what it's found. They give you heads ups when, they'll give you a heads up email when you get a response from a host. And so there's different ways to do this. But in a nutshell, what it does is it takes that entire conversation and builds out my brand profile for me. That means that it is coming up with my elevator pitch, my North Star, my expertise, my unique value. What do I bring to the table that other people don't? And of course, information about my audience, my story, where I started, what are some of my key milestones and experiences. It does all of this for me based on that chat. You don't have to do any of it. Okay, and it creates all of this as reference for you. Then it also, and you can continue to come in here and add credibility. As you land podcast interviews or speaking engagements through the platform, it automatically tracks that and will add it here. But if you land an opportunity outside of the platform, you can come and manually add that as well. And so this becomes your growing list of credibility markers that it starts to then position you with when it pitches podcast hosts, when it pitches an event host, when it writes content for you. It's constantly pulling from these credibility markers. Your messaging and positioning, this is the part that we talked about right in the beginning, right? Like really getting clear on what your message is and why it matters. What I call the who cares and why, right? This is something that I was talking about back in 2020 when I saw a lot of people asking these questions about positioning. I was like, if you can't answer clearly who cares and why about whatever it is that you're saying, whatever you're posting, whatever you're selling, then you need to go back to it because it needs to quickly answer who cares and why. And that's again where if you know what your audience is searching for, you know exactly who cares and why. Okay, and then this is where it really learns your brand voice so it can write content for you to answer those questions. So it goes into, here, let me open up this one instead. So you'll see that it goes really deep into your personality. You can come in here, create multiple brand voices. So it really learns to speak like you. So this is going a lot deeper than what ChatGPT or anything else does. But it really learns how to write like you, your vocabulary, your paragraph style, your sentence style, your signature phrases, the patterns to avoid, all of that stuff, and a lot more. There's a lot. Okay. Once it does all of that for you, it also shows you your compared analysis. So basically, it shows you who the other experts in your field are and what the gaps are, which you can fill with your expertise. Okay, you'll see that none of this has anything to do with number of years of experience. Okay, and then it takes this and feeds it into all of your different research agents. So the first one will go and find out for you what are they searching for every single week. They'll just run on their own. You don't have to go trigger them. This week, my audience, my target audience is searching for, these are some of their actual search terms. I can come in here and say, write a post for me based on this topic. And it'll ask me, what do you want to write? Blog? Do you want to write a blog? Do you want to write a newsletter? Do you want to write some social content? It will help me take my brand voice, take that search term and help me write based on what it already knows about me and my expertise. So that's on the content piece. It also goes in and looks at podcasts that are looking for your expertise along with whether it's on an email or not. And it will write the pitch. If you turn on automated pitching, it will pitch for you and it will follow up for you. It will monitor responses and then hand the conversation back to you when you get a response. Same thing with events and keynotes, which is a little bit different because it's mostly when you're looking for speaker application processes on websites. It's usually not a pitching process. It's more of a fill out an application form. And so for that, it'll tell you what your keynote recommendations are based on your expertise, based on what your audience is searching for. And then it'll give you everything you need to copy and paste into these application forms. And then similarly for third-party publications, it'll give you this report every week, tell you which publications are a good fit for you, and also tell you what the recommended topics are based on your expertise and what they're looking for, what is a good pitch strategy, who are the contacts that'll pitch for you on your behalf, again, if you turn that on. And then it also tells you what their content requirements are. So if you are writing an article for them, it will help you write it based on their requirements. So Sammy, sorry, I know you have your hand up, but go ahead.
One, holy smoke balls, this is amazing. Two, what is the starting point? Let's say someone for me, I don't know if I have that much on me, right? So if you're just trying to find all this source data, I've been on maybe 50 podcasts or something like that, and then mine's still in production. what if we haven't gotten as far down the rabbit hole, or we haven't built our brand out yet and we're kind of starting? What is that? What would, how does this, like, which part of that would we jump into?
So, if you're just starting out, you haven't been featured anywhere, you're starting from ground zero, the easiest way to start getting featured, remember that the story is the first part, no matter where you're starting, whether you've been doing this for a while or not. But if you're wondering what channel to start with, podcasts. It's the easiest way to get started. Like I had somebody walk up to me at a high level. I spoke at high level at Level Up last year. I had somebody walk up to me after my presentation and ask me, I haven't posted on social media for 5 years. I've never been featured anywhere. Is this thing going to help me? And I was like, there's only one way to find out. And so he jumped in, started posting content from BrandPod on his socials. I think he's on LinkedIn and Instagram. Those are the two channels he decided to start with. Started writing blog content again based on BrandPod search terms, and started pitching. So he just turned on fully automated pitching. He was like, I don't have the patience to try and figure the system out. I'm going to just turn on automations, let it just do it for me. He, within 6 weeks, typically we see people who are starting from scratch, they land their first podcast within 4 weeks. We've had people land their first one within 2 weeks. This guy got his first interview on within 6 weeks of starting on this. And then after that, he just started getting booked and booked and booked. Now his socials are full, like he posts all the time. He said, I'm closing 1 or 2 deals every single day. They're all coming to me through my content and my podcast. He's on so many podcasts that he's actually now sending his wife instead of him because he's like, I can't do this anymore. I don't have time to eat lunch. Like I need to actually take a step back. Now he wants to focus on speaking engagements. Like he really wants to become a speaker. So he's taking a step back. He's putting his wife instead of him, which is always an interesting thing. I told him to have her build her own profile because she's going to talk. She's going to have a different story than his. But hopefully that answers your question. So the easiest way to start is podcasting. It doesn't matter how from scratch or ground zero you're starting, content and podcasting. Then you layer on events and publications together. And that's when we see people really start to get featured quickly.
Cool. And is it sourcing the stuff that it finds of you? Because there's a lot of times we forget what we have out there. There's podcasts I was on 8, 9 years ago, and I was like, oh, I was on that one. And it's funny what gets pulled up, and some
Yeah.
of it's relevant, some of it's not, but it's all content, right? Is that what happens here? It pulls content from you or for you?
Right now, it doesn't. That's something that we've talked about adding to the roadmap. Right now, it doesn't. Right now, it's relying on you to give it information. But when you're starting the conversation with Brand Coach, you could upload if you have a transcript about your story, you can upload that. If you have a website that lists kind of where you've been, you can upload that. It'll find it on that website. So there are a few ways to start, but no, it's not going to scour the internet and look for where you've already been featured. What it will do is scour the internet and look for opportunities for you every single week, depending on the plan that you're on. It does it either monthly or weekly and goes and finds all the opportunities. And if you have it turned on fully automated, it will also just start sending out pitches for you on your behalf, which works really well.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations on building a world-class product. This is so great. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
other questions out there real fast? I know for you guys, I know this is exactly what I was just talking with Kimber about too, just like yesterday. We're like, all right, what does it look like to just get into the practice of getting the next message out, whether that's even to a person or to a platform? And we're doing a little 7-day challenge where I'm just like, here, we're just gonna send a message out with no intention, just to kind of get into momentum. Then you bolt on a tool like this, it helps you know exactly what you need to build, how to build it, and why to build it, and who it is, and why they will care. And it's already there for you. That is exactly what people need to be using to expedite what they're doing too. Yeah, go ahead, Allie.
This is amazing. I literally had a team call yesterday on pitching podcasts because I do get a lot of asks to be on podcasts, but they don't line up with my ideal market. And I really want to just be really intentional. I'm like that dude that's like, I'm going to outsource this to my husband, but my husband won't be the man for the job. So when you, and I love this because I have a lot of degrees in medicine, and research is everything, right? If you're going to be really good at medicine, you're going to be really good at researcher. That's one key I don't think that my team really digs into, the research part part of it. So this is brilliant, by the way, and thank you. Where in the research piece in BrandPod, like where would I send my team to like really do the research on what my expertise is, and then where we find those right audiences and like the high impact ones?
Yeah, so it won't find the right audiences for you. That's not something that it does. But what it will
Okay.
do is take your expertise. So you always start with brand code. So when you sign up, the first thing it makes you do is go through this conversation. By the way, a little side note that I'm just going to share here. I was wondering if I should share it because it's being recorded, and if anyone watches this next week, this isn't going to apply. So I'm sorry. If you want to cut this out, Sammy, you're more than welcome to. We have had a free way to get in and actually get a lot of this juice just to kind of see how much power there is in it. And so you can have this whole like hour-long, 3-hour-long conversation with brand coach, clarify your message, run your agents one time, find the podcasts that are looking for your expertise, along with contact info, events, publication, and editor information, and what your audience is searching for this week. And it's all for free right now. Something that we found is that people don't, like somebody just came and told me this 2 weeks ago, that you're offering way too much for free. Like if you go anywhere else just to get this beginner level data, you're looking at $1,000 plus. So we decided this week, the team is actually working on this. So by the end of this week, that free plan is going to go away. It's going to be a one-time investment of $97 to get everything that you would typically pay $1,000 for. But I'm just going to let you guys know, since we're doing this, and it is right now, it's totally free. So if you wanted to just get in there and just get whatever you can out of it, you're more than welcome to.
Oh wow. Thank you so much for that. And for you guys watching,
Thank you.
sorry. That's why you gotta be here. We're
Yes.
cutting it out.
Yes, and in fact, it might, today's Tuesday, so I think by Thursday it'll be gone. But to answer your question, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Ali?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So to answer your question, what I would do is just clarify your message. Tell it who you serve, what you do, and what it does with this information. It connects your story to what you've told it about who you do and what you offer. And it does this research on your ICP, right? And so I kind of tend to ignore the overview because it's not too helpful, but it will break up your audience based on this, based on what it knows about your audience. And then really start to hone in on the pain points and like, this is stuff you can use in your marketing and everything. This is what it's researching. This is where the research comes in. So it researches all the pain points and where it's getting it from. It kind of breaks this down into long-term and short-term goals that your audience is looking for. And then this is what it's using to get those search terms every week. And so if you look at content habits, it'll tell you some of the publications and blogs that they're reading, like in what are those people actually reading? Who are they following? And then based on all of that, it'll tell you what their search terms are. And then this is what keeps updating every week.
So cool, girl. Wow. And the glasses, Sammy knows pink's my color. I need the glasses.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old will be thrilled. She was 6 2 years ago when she told me to wear her toy pink plastic glasses, and it just became a thing. I started like wearing them just for fun as a joke, and then I started going to events and getting on Zoom calls, and people were like, "We don't recognize you without the glasses, so I have to get real ones." So she's my
They're
style.
fantastic. I saw them on your brand photo shoot too. I'm like, brilliant.
Thank
Would be
you.
memorable. Thank you, my love.
With that, to jump in there, I saw that there was the brandpod.ai. Should they just go to that website to try that?
Exactly. Yeah. So let me leave you with this. So brandpod.ai, it'll tell you more about the platform and what it does, but it's everything that we just talked about. And if you go down here, this is what's about to become $97 in like 2 days. But yeah, all the juice is here. All the goodies are here.
Amazing. Amazing. There was a trial on one of your sites with a code. Is that for that $97 one that you're talking about?
No. So the code will give you 7 days free, but that's also, I think that one's coming down tomorrow. I'm gonna give it to you, but again, that one's probably only gonna work today. I'm just gonna give you all the goods while I can. Here, let me put it in the chat, the code. Give me a second. think the team said they were pulling that one down tomorrow, but yeah, it'll definitely work today, and it'll give you the full 7 days if you use it today. And that'll work on any plan. So if you wanted to actually just try out one of the plans, it'll work on both of these. That's not for the $97 one.
That's amazing. Well, are you going to be at Go High Level again this year?
No, this is the first year in 3 years that I'm not going. So I spoke at the last two level ups, and then they told me they don't like to reuse or recycle. What's the word they use? They didn't say recycle. I'll be nice. No, they said that they don't usually repeat speakers. So since I felt like there was a very low chance that I'd be speaking again, I mean, you never know. If they invite me to speak, I will be there. But I'm actually pivoting and doing a lot of different things this year. So I was going to take a break this year, but yeah.
Well, I'll tell Robin you're missing out. That's great.
You should. Robin's my favorite. Don't tell the rest. Don't tell Vern and Sean I said that, but Robin's my favorite.
Yeah, so great. And then where's home base for you?
Right now, Seattle. So I used to live in the Bay Area in California for like 20 years. Just moved up to the Seattle area last year.
Oh, nice. Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Well, thank you again so much. Anyone have any other questions and or shout outs? I'd love to hear from each one of you guys, a big takeaway from this before we go. Kimber A, let's start with you. I saw you fiercely taking a bunch of notes.
I'm always taking notes, even though I know I can record it. I mean, go back and listen to the recording. I just can't thank you enough. I had no idea. I'm just blown away. This is a whole new, Sammy knows this whole thing is just so new to me, everything about it. So I'm grateful. The eyes are open. So
I'm
good.
so glad. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. I
Thanks,
love
Doris.
you.
Thank you.
Here's we're smoking halfway through it. What are you excited to do, Allie?
Oh my gosh, I'm jumping in. I'm off the grid right now. This is literally our life for the month of July with 4 little humans inside a 1-bedroom, 1-bath cabin. It's incredible. However, my little agents can get their booties to work. And so I'm going to circle back with my team right now and send them this recording and absolutely grab your BrandPod and get all this running. So it's like the timing is just perfection. So I'm just thanking you and thanking Jesus because I needed that. Mama's got a lot of hands going. I'm the camp nurse down at the camp too. And there's like this Japanese bug that came over with the missionaries and everyone's like, yeah, some sickness. My husband's out. So yeah, it's wild. So anyway, this was a beautiful, blessed moment to get out here and get on with you and take an hour off. So thank you for your expertise. Thank you for your time. Love your story. Love how God's used you in big and mighty ways. But I can tell you're very humble and you have a very meek heart. And yeah, let's take a selfie. And send me your IG. I'll post it for you. But thank you. This really blessed me today. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And I have goosebumps just hearing you talk about that. So I hope everyone feels better. Oh, I
Amen.
But thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And I appreciate you saying all of that.
Yes, you too, my love.
Awesome. Thank you again. And then we'll see you again, guys. Check out, well, this part. You're coming back in because we're probably cutting the other part out. But guys, you got to check out brandpod.ai. And thank you for being on the expert panel team. It was such a great. Did I say it right? Root. I want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, we will for sure have you back. I would love to introduce you to a couple other circles that we have too that we run in if you'd like to. So I'll have Ray reach out to you because I've got some great affiliate networks for you that would absolutely eat this up. And we feel so blessed to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm jumping in right now too. I'm about to brand guide my face out.
Enjoy the process. It's actually a lot of fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.